Welcome back to Mortgage Daddies. Today we are going to talk about just life in general, being an adult, kids, marriage, all the things we're so good at.
Yeah, I think we have to stay away from talking about mortgages and finance. Like, quite honestly, we talk about this all the time. We actually really dislike talking about mortgages and finance because that's what we do all day. And one of the things I think that, goes unnoticed is that we do have families and we do actually enjoy our kids and our spouses. But it's hard, right?
I'm Vernon. I run the top mortgage brokerage in Massachusetts with over 20 years of experience.
I'm Craig. I've done $100 million consistently since my second full year in the business, and I'm Massachusetts' top mortgage broker. We're the Mortgage Daddies with real advice, real stories, and real results.
Let's get going.
We've bounced this off behind closed doors. I'm like, dude, when do you see your kids? Like, between these hours every single day. And I think it's important for everybody out there, to take the time and, really prioritize being home, having a little bit of a set schedule. Like, I definitely think that's helped me over the last, call it 2 or 3 years, where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be home 2 days a week at this hour. And then magically somehow sports have kicked in, and they've definitely kicked in for you over the last 12 to 18 months because you used to never go home until 8:30, 9 o'clock. And now it's kind of actually fun. Today's Thursday. So I think it was Tuesday. I walked out of my office at about 6:30, 6:45, not to leave, but I walked out and no one was in the building. And I looked down at your office, and I don't know, for the last 5 years, I'd look down at your office, the light would be on, there'd be some noise out of there. And it made me feel good that you were gone. I'm not saying that you should stay here till 8 o'clock, but I have noticed that, you've been out of the office earlier. You still come in at the ass crack of dawn, but
I come in earlier now, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's,
the kids sports stuff is insane. I mean, it's the juggling act of that. And I don't like to miss that. I think that's something that's only going to be around for so long. Most people's kids are not going to be professional athletes. You're not going to be watching them on Sunday or on the TV. So, and I think people get a little, I've realized this too, is we get a little too involved in it because you want them to be the best. And, that competitive edge of your own takes over. And it's it's very easy to kind of want more from them than maybe they necessarily want. And people put their kids in so much shit now.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy how much there is, but trying to balance that and get to the practices and get to the games and coaching the stuff. Most weeks now with basketball in full force, 2 nights of practice for one of his leagues. And this is just one of my kids, and I think that's where life changes a lot. When they're little and everyone's like, how do you do this? I'm like, I don't know. My kids are all little. they don't do anything.
They're with the mom.
Yeah, they don't go anywhere. But then once sports kicked in, it's all right, now I'm there at everything. And, you got to balance that a little bit, but you just move your schedule around and figure it out. Yeah. I mean, and I just don't like missing that stuff. It's fun.
No, I remember somebody telling me, and I can't remember who it was, so don't hold me to this. We don't get this opportunity again, right? I have one son. I have one daughter. I'm only going to be able to go to his games, his sports. And I mean, let's really think about this. How old is Austin now? 10?
Just turned 9.
9. So he started really in the last 12 to 18 months, year and a half of playing competitive sports, baseball, basketball. Same thing with Liam. He started at that same age. It's dude, we only get that period of time from 8 to 18. And they don't want us coaching after high school, right? So my son just started.
Really, it's probably middle school. Because once they go to high school, you're playing, now you're not really going to the practices, you're just going to the games.
Yeah.
So you really have from when they're 6, 7
to 12, 13.
To 12, 13. I mean, it's a short window of time.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I mean, it's a great time. We get to spend a lot more time together because of it, just driving, talking while you're driving to the games or the practices, having conversations about things and, it just gets you a lot closer, but it's a lot to balance for sure.
I feel like you have that come to Jesus moment a few times in the car every 6 to 12 months where you as the dad or the parent have that light bulb goes off in your head. You're like, I'm only going to have this conversation once with him, right? And then I'm not going to have this conversation again unless it comes back up. But you're like, that was probably something that's going to change my life. We don't get those opportunities. And, we're talking about this today on the podcast to get it out there to everybody who's in, no matter what industry you're in. if you can make the time, figure it out, change around that schedule, wake up earlier. I was reading something. I was just telling Craig off camera, I'm now waking up. I've always woke up 5:30, 5:30, 6. Pretty lazy in the morning. I realize I'm on the Instagram and the Facebook, and I'm waiting for my wife to bring me coffee. And it's like, now I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to put my feet on the ground. Yeah, my wife brings me coffee every day. Now she brings me coffee, but now I got the to-go cup already. That's why you're not seeing that coming in, because I realize I'm going to change around. There's a lot of stuff that you have to do at your house, right? You're doing a lot of construction in your house. You have 4 kids. Things are going to get banged up. You're going to have to do stuff around the house. Between the hours that we work, then you throw in the kids into sports. I'm looking around and I'm like, I haven't closed my pool. I haven't done this. I haven't cleaned out my closet in 3 years. And I'm looking at pants that I hope I'm going to fit into again. And I'm like, it's time to donate these. Like, somebody else can wear these before they're just disintegrated into nothing. I mean, so now I'm waking up 5:30, 6, still 6:30. I'm rolling out, and I just want to go outside, do something, get my body moving. I think, I went to get my physical, and Dr. Pakawa told me to watch Blue Zones. Have you ever watched Blue Zones on Netflix?
No, what's it about?
It's very wild. Very wild. So I'm like 4 episodes, and there's not many of them. But the Blue Zones are different parts in different parts of the world. They call them Blue Zones, where people live the longest.
Oh,
They're living to like 100, 110. And surprisingly enough, there's a blue zone in like California, not too far, a couple, maybe 2 or 3 hours outside of LA. But it just talks about like the things that are helping people live to 100 plus years old. And, we're talking about making time for our families, and family is being one of those things, right? Spending time with your kids, maybe taking care of parents as they get older, bringing them closer to you, and just what they eat. Right? Like what we put in our bodies. And I know I'm going to hear this from everybody who's watching this that knows me. I love McDonald's. It's
maybe
my favorite
went to McDonald's right after his physical.
I did not do that, John. I definitely did that right after my physical. He's like, everything looks great. Yeah. Do your blood work. Yeah. I drove myself right to McDonald's. I was like, I deserve a treat. But it talks about like, what they put in their body, the quality time they have with their family, what they do for exercise, right? Like it made me think, because I have, at any given point, at least 2 gym memberships going. I am a proud member of the YMCA next door. I walk in, once every 12 to 18 months, renew it, pay for it in advance for the full year, and I never walk back in there. I even have the towel service. Never used the towel before.
Some funny billboards the other day. That Anytime Fitness company?
Yeah.
So they have billboards, and it'd be like, thanks, Vern, for your membership and not showing up. You funded this billboard. Like your membership that you don't show up to funds this billboard.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. But that Blue Zones is I think why, after I had my physical, that I'm waking up in the morning and doing these activities. Is all of these people do activities or physical activities, but they're just walking. They're crouching down, and it talks about like the average person in maybe worldwide, but talking about, United States, what do you do from the point where you wake up, you're laying down for, I like 6 to 7 hours of sleep minimum, or I'm very crabby. So I lay down, then I shower, then I get my car, which I'm sitting in, and then I get to my office and I sit in a chair all day. And maybe I walk to the bathroom.
You don't get off the ground very often.
Yeah. I mean,
I think I watched this a while back, and a lot of the cultures were, cultures where they sit around a table on the floor.
Yeah.
Or their beds are on the floor. So just having to get down and get up is something that most adults or Americans don't do.
Yeah. And, different parts of the Blue Zones, they're planting their own food. They have to go out and garden. They have to weed that. So just those movements are basically like going to the gym. It's like, I'm going to pay for a gym membership, but not do anything. So why don't I just wake up an hour early, go outside, move around, clean stuff up that I need to do anyway, that I used to not do. Probably pay somebody to do that. But it's even like the landscaping piece. Like I see myself now, I'm like outside cutting a tree down that had fallen. I'm like, it's a lot of exercise. It feels good though. Once you start doing it, right? We'll see how long this lasts. I like to do everything for about, 3 to 8 days, and then that's over with. So, but I think definitely like, back to like just spending time with your kids. You do it a lot. I do it a lot. I just want to keep increasing that time, because they're going to be out of the house soon, and it will be a different relationship we have. then I can come back to work and work whatever I'm used to working, 50 or 60 hours a week. But I don't think it's worth missing a basketball game or a baseball game or a playoff game. Like, I see too many parents that aren't able to make it. And listen, they all have their own thing. They all have their own careers. I'm not judging anybody by any stretch, but can you change that up? Can you wake up earlier? Can you get that other task done throughout the day?
Yeah, I think it's just so easy with how busy everybody is now. And, most households, multiple people have to work. So it's just constant. And it's a lot easier to just let your kid play on an iPad and be out of your hair for, the 2 hours so you can relax and not do anything, but trying to spend time to because I know my kids, if I tell them to go outside, they'll be outside for 10 minutes. They'll come back in and they'll be like, want to go back on their iPad or do something else. But if I go out there with them, they'll be out there forever. Or if they have friends over, they'll go outside forever. So I love it when my kids have friends over because they're outside and they're gone, and they're playing and they're doing what I did as a kid. Like, we didn't have iPads. I really was never even a big video game person. Manhunt, kickball, flag football, whatever. We were just constantly outside when I was a kid, nonstop. And now, it kills me when the kids are inside and I'll get home and I'm like, Emily, did they go outside? She's like, oh, I did this, whatever. I'm like, yeah, but if we can get them outside or go outside with them, you get to spend time with them. You get to do things with them, whether it's doing shit around the yard or playing catch or doing whatever, it helps. But then when they have friends over, it makes it easy because they can go do those things together. So, I really like when they do that. Like, they get to have their friends over or play because they're not just sitting around, playing video games or on their iPad all day long.
And big shout out to Craig Snell over here. He goes to Pinehurst. He's a big golfer. Everybody knows that, to watch his Mortgage Daddies. Goes to Pinehurst, comes back home. He's like, I made an amazing purchase. I bought a golf simulator. Everybody who knows me and watches the show knows especially if you watch the Dean Snell episode, you know that I am not a good golfer and I don't even actually really enjoy it because I'm not good at it. So I'm very competitive. I'd rather just not do it. So now my son just texts and calls Craig to go over his house to use his golf simulator with him and his son. I'm like, I'm away. And he's like, yeah, I'm at Craig's house hitting some golf balls. I'm like, how did you get to Craig's house? He's like, I texted him. I'm like, what is happening right now? I'm like, so listen,
the other time I did.
We got Uncle Craig in the background taking care of all this.
Yeah, I like having the stuff at the house. That's fun because it gets, that was my goal, was to try to get everything in my house that I would want and to make it fun. So then we never have to leave or go do something, because I know oh, you're tired. Do you want to go to the driving range? It's okay, a 15, 20 minute ride. You come back and you're probably not going to do that very often, but having a golf simulator allows us to go out there for, even if it's 20 minutes and mess around on it, or, having a pool at the house to be able to do things they're only young for so long, and the memories. And I think too, when you grow up, you have your traditions with your family and stuff, but then it's tough. You're married to somebody, they have their own traditions, they have their own family, you're trying to figure out time. I think it's important to make your own traditions and things that you do with your own family and your own things, every year. And we've started to kind of do some of those things, which is nice. We never used to do anything on Christmas Eve. Now we do Christmas Eve at my house. Everybody comes over. It's fun. It's something that we continue to do now. It'll be, I think, the third or fourth year that we've done it. We play games. We have a good time with it. Friends come over too. Family comes over. Some friends that are family now come over, and it's just, it makes it fun. You're not bouncing between 3 houses. I was talking to somebody the other day. It's okay, their parents are divorced again. Brothers have different mothers or fathers, and it's they're trying to go to 3 or 4 different houses. It's tough. Holidays become stressful instead of enjoyable.
Yeah, I think that's good for your kids too, because now we're setting a precedent that after they go and start their own families, you already have Christmas Eve at your house. So now they have to come to your house and you're able to see your kids. I mean, I'm always I'm always thinking long-term, a long play. It's, luckily you have a wife, and I know Emily pretty well, and my wife Sue. They are big fans of traditions and things that they like to do with the kids. And God bless both of them, because I am glad that I typically do not partake. I'm there physically, mentally, not so much on the pumpkin carving. It's something going on every couple weeks at my house. I feel like, I'm like, why do you keep doing this to yourself? And she's like, it's just a good tradition. We only have it. So now I find myself, I guess I'll be home for pumpkin carving, or I'll be home for this one. And I'm like, this is painful, right? Because I didn't grow up with any of those type of things. And it's as simple as, right, last night I realized I had one of those light bulb moments where how many people's sit down at the table and eat like with their kids or a significant other, I'm not home a lot. And when I am, like, they usually already ate. So everybody gets home late last night. And my daughter's like, looks at me. She's like, Dad, will you sit at the counter and eat with me? And I'm like, oh my God, like I should probably do this a little bit more often as opposed to like just worrying about that. But those are like little things. And then she talks about her day the entire time, right? I don't know. I mean, obviously I know your daughter, Peyton. But if you notice, like our daughter, like my daughter just won't, I hope she doesn't watch this. She just doesn't stop talking. Like
it's funny how they talk so much and the boys, it's like, you ask them like how their day is good.
Yeah.
Good. Like Paula was over when Emily was away last weekend and she was helping get the kids off the bus or whatever before I got home from work. And she's like, Austin, how was school? Good. What'd you do? Nothing. How was this? Good. Like it was all one word answers. But Peyton, like you get her going.
8 hours, the whole day of school.
Oh yeah. It won't stop. And she wants to tell you things. Like she's like trying to tell you things about her day. And the boys are like, yeah, no, they don't care.
Yeah, in like 15 years, I'm going to just look at my daughter and I'm going to do everything that she's put me through. And by the way, I love you for it. Don't get mad. But I'm going to call her and be like, I have a question. Like that's how she starts every conversation. I have a question. And then it's like a 5-minute question. And I'm like, where was the question? It's just a statement about your day at school and taking a pop quiz. Could not wrap her head around why they have a pop quiz at school. And that was like the bad part of her day. So like every night we do, what was your rose, right? Thorn, stem for the next day. And every single day it's something about school that she didn't like. And I'm like, that's just school. Like a pop quiz or a test, like that's school. She's like, I want to go to work with you and Craig and Auntie because it's fun. Like, this is not fun. Like adulting is not fun. Like I want to go back to being like 13 years old, especially with what our kids have. Golf simulators, basketball courts. I'm like, you guys have the best lives. Like I'm a little jealous.
One thing I always think about with kids now and even like, 34 and I've seen younger kids who finish high school. I feel like a lot of kids like never leave their house. Like they stay with their parents for so long, or maybe their parents like don't necessarily get them like super ready for life outside because they do everything for their kids. And I'm not like, I think it was a rude awakening for my kids this weekend. And anytime like I get on a little bit of a rant or whatever.
I know where you're going with this.
And mom's not home this weekend to do every little thing. So the type of person with my kids is I don't do it for them. I tell them to do it and then make sure they do it. Meaning like whether it's shutting the lights off. Me and my daughter have this constant battle about the lights in the bathroom because, I didn't go in there last. I'm like, and then I'll just stand there and watch. And she went in the bathroom and didn't shut the lights off.
Even if you didn't, if you walked by, just shut it off.
Or putting your stuff away or, getting ready for school or whatever it is. Like I personally think too many parents like try to make it too easy for their kids or they do everything or they'd rather just do it because they don't want the fight or the battle. But I think that fight or the battle or, that gets kids ready for life because there's not going to be somebody that's going to be, putting their clothes away or cleaning up after them or shutting the lights off after them. And, I think like once you get out of high school or you get out of college or whatever you do and you go live on your own, it's like a rude awakening that you now need to go do all these things. Yeah. And so many kids probably don't know how to do laundry, don't know how to iron clothes. Like when I was a kid, my mom, I used to have to do my own laundry, cook. How many kids don't know how to cook because their parents don't want to spend the time or they don't want to like fight with them, but it's part of growing up and getting them ready for life and teaching them the things that school doesn't necessarily teach you.
Yeah. No, I think we have the same wives. So every single time she goes away. I think it's
a mom thing.
It is. I'm going to blame the moms on this. And Auntie is in the room here. So my wife goes away and she deserves to go away. 100% go away. I don't mind when she goes away, right? Like I can handle the kids contrary to everybody's, belief system. I do not like it when I'm all by myself, but I can suffer through. There's a lot of door dashing, but you're 100% right. Like I think she went girls trip during the school year, last year, the year before. And I remember coming into the office and asking you, I'm like, I woke up on Monday and I'm like, guys, what are you having for lunch today? They're like, I don't know. I'm like, do you guys buy lunch? Like, I didn't even know.
Yeah. No.
I'm like, did you guys buy lunch? You guys make lunch? And they're like, Mom makes us lunch. I'm like, what does she make you? And they ran down the list of like different stuff they make her. I'm like, all right, that's good. I'm like, so you guys, there's a refrigerator. You know where your lunch boxes are. Pack your own lunch. It was a little eye-opening, but I didn't do it. I refused to do that. Like, starve. Like I'll give you the $3 or whatever it is for school, but for lunch. It was cool to see them working as a team though, because my daughter's a little bit more like my wife, and she would make Liam's lunch, but then Liam would have to do something for her to kind of offset. And honestly, when my wife goes away, it's a pretty well-oiled machine. I'm going to have to pat myself on the back. Like the kids make their lunch, and it was good for her to go away because now we've gotten to the point. Last night, she made dinner. Liam is just wants to eat steak like 5 nights a week. He came home. He made himself two steaks by himself. And I just told my wife, I remember having this conversation a while back. I'm like, when's he going to learn how to do this? Right? Like, just let him make it. And I get where she's coming from because, like, he's 14 years old. Cooking a steak on the stove is not the cleanest thing in the world.
Makes him mad.
And she has to clean that up because he'll clean it up to the best a 14-year-old boy can do. He might as well just not touch it because it smears everywhere. There's grease. She's worried about grease fires. And I get it, but I'm like, we have to let these guys fly, right? They haven't gotten to the point where we can let them do their own laundry. I don't think my wife will pull that trigger for a while.
Peyton knows how to do laundry. Not the boys, but Peyton does.
I mean, I think the boys would just wear the same socks. Like if Liam said you have to wear the same clothes, he would not care.
Yeah. Yeah, Austin gets ready for school and I'm like, he's like at this like in-between size and like whatever. I don't know the size that he is, but small, medium. And the smalls are like up here, but the mediums are like super baggy. And I'm like, every day he puts on clothes. I'm like, dude, go change. Like you have high waters on right now. Yeah. You got to like change it up, or you have a green sweatshirt on and you have red sneakers. Like go fix that. You look like Christmas right now.
It's good watching the evolution as they get older. Cause I honestly don't remember being 11 or 13 years old. I start remembering about 15, 16. And now my son now comes downstairs yesterday in the morning. Dad, do you have any extra deodorant? I'm like, no, I have the same amount of deodorant that comes in I'm not sharing my deodorant even with my son. So maybe I'm not a big fan of that. The OCD kicks in, but I'm like, here you go. I have a brand new one just for you. He's like, yeah. Can you order me some more of this stuff? A year or two ago, did not care about deodorant. He didn't care if he was wearing mismatched socks. Now I'm looking at him. He's all like cleaned up. Everything fits. I'm like, I think he's hit the lady stage now.
I think it's definitely important to try with your kids to get them to do things that they're going to need to learn how to do. And I think kids at a younger age can do things a lot more than what parents think that they can do. And they just overly like, I even go to basketball and I'm like watching these parents or stuff like put their kids' stuff in their bag and like pick up everything after. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Tying their shoe?
Like, yeah.
Tying their shoes on the
court. They're 9 years old. Like
Wild.
They can't like put their bag or pick up their stuff. Like I will just stand there and be like, Austin, you've just took your shoes off. You threw your Crocs on the half on the court. The bag's hanging over. I'm like, pick this up. Like, put it away. Like, constantly, like, trying to stay on top of them to do things. Not because I can't do it, and part of it is I don't want to do it, but also like they need to learn that they need to. Like, my mom was constantly all over us. Like, and my mom, my dad lived in California most of my life, so my mom couldn't do everything. I mean, she did a lot for us, but like she made us do things. And honestly, I think that like made me more ready for life. Where when I moved out, like I was able to do things. And then you get into the point where you start living with somebody else and now you figure out like who's doing what. And that's fun. Like I have conversations with someone. I started very early in life with kids and with Emily. So we kind of got through that early on. And then you see other people where either they're having their first kid or they're starting to live with their significant other for the first time. And it's like those crazy little battles. It's like, you kind of got to figure out the roles in life of like, who's going to do what. Like either, somebody cooks, somebody cleans, or somebody does laundry, somebody does other things. Like you can figure those things out early on so you don't have those constant fights and battles about everything. And I think you can do the same thing with your kids, like figure it out, set rules, but you got to hold them accountable to it. Too many times they say to do this or say to do that, and then they're doing it for them. Like, I'm not going to do it if you're going to do it for me.
I mean, I will say one thing that we as dads have brought to the table, and I see it in your kids, and I definitely see it in my son, maybe a little bit in my daughter. She's starting to come around. But, schools don't teach our kids financial literacy or entrepreneurship or, how to make money or how money works, right? Like how to invest money. Like I try to tell my kids, if you guys started investing now and you started a little business and you put $100 away per month, like, do you know what that compound looks like when you're 62 years old, ready for retirement? And it it was a proud moment. Like when my son, everybody knows, flips sports cards and he does well with that. But then, seeing Peyton, your daughter, start like her nail business online, I'm like, oh my God, she's starting a nail business at 11 years old. Like, dude, that has to, as a dad in business for yourself, entrepreneur, built your own brand, your name, that has to put like a little twinkle in your eye. You're like, all right, now she's got a little me. And I'm like, all right, they're going to be all right.
Yeah, she's very independent. I mean, and I think we've just always kind of had her do things. So she's like, she pretty much takes care of herself, gets herself ready, does everything, makes her own lunches, does everything she needs to do. And she's in 6th grade. And then you talk to the parents and it's like, kid can't even wipe his own butt, at this age.
I don't remember being in 6th grade, right? I mean, I remember like in 6th grade, I feel like I knew how to cook. I was mowing the lawn. Like I knew how to, my parents were divorced. So it's like, you're almost like the man of the house. Like I was the oldest. And it's like, you had to take care of stuff. You made sure your room was clean, that stuff was put away. Lights were definitely off. Now I see that. And I'm like, at this point, I'm almost giving up on any of that. The other day, I'm like, Liam, can you come outside and help me? Dude, I had to put together a bagger on a riding lawnmower with my son and have him use like wrenches and ratchets.
It's the only way they're going to learn, though.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? I reverted back and I had to think my wife would just do it for them. I found myself doing that. And I'm like, no, you have to finish this one up. Like, it's got to be super tight. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, it was painful. Like something you can do in 20 seconds. It took him like 5 minutes. But if he doesn't struggle for that 5 minutes, he's never going to learn. Mm-hmm. Right? Just simple, flipping the ratchet over from, tightening and loosening up the bolt. I'm like, this is painful. I'm like, this generation is going to be tough unless they kind of pull it together. But, we're lucky enough to have the ability to stay home and watch our kids grow up as much as we possibly can. Because it's going to be over quick. I was scrolling through my phone early this morning, and the other night I sent you guys that picture of an old employee that we used to work with. So I've been just going through like a Google Drive, and I'm finding like all these old cell phone pictures that were dumps. Don't suggest keeping those in a drive or anything. I should have deleted. I'm deleting a lot. But you look back and you're like, holy shit, like it's already been 8 years, 9 years since this photo of Liam or somebody, one of your kids are taken. You're like, he's closer to being out of my house. Like I got 3 years left. He'll be 15 in 2 weeks. I got 3 years before he either goes off to college and, you know me pretty well. He will not be, this is going on the record, Liam. So if you're watching this, you will not be unemployed, not going to school at 18, 19 years old, living at my house. Like there's no chance. Go live with your friend, find a girlfriend. You're not living in my basement. You're not living in your bedroom. I have a cushy life now. You are going to learn it the hard way.
We're counting down the days until that house is empty.
I already told them, like, they're not even going to know. They're going to come back for Thanksgiving break. My daughter will go to college. Hopefully it's more than like 50 miles away, so she has to live on campus or get an apartment. I joke around. My wife I don't think she believes me, but as soon as my daughter is out of the house, for sale sign, I'm not telling them it's sold. 0, 2-bedroom, maybe a studio condo somewhere, no pool. I'm not taking care of pools, lawns, nothing anymore. And I tell my wife this all the time, like, they're going to come back to us, my house. It's not going to be there. It's going to be a whole different family living there.
Not even tell them.
I'm actually just looking forward to doing this because I've been telling them that I was going to do this. And I might just have it like recorded. I might have like secret cameras up because I just want to see their faces. Like, Dad wasn't joking around for the last, 15 years. I'm like, you're not living with me past like and listen, I was out of the house at a young age. So I think that's the only thing I know. It's okay if they pop back in for a month, 3 months here and there, right? They break up with a girlfriend. They fall in some hard times, but you're not living at my house. 25, 28 years old, asking me for Apple Cash, and I'm going to eat with my friends and I need some money. I'm like, nah, not happening.
No, absolutely not. I do not think. I think that just depends on how you raise them. If they're independent and they're capable, and you make them driven to want to teaching them the importance of money and working hard and figuring things out. Like you can't just give your kids everything that they want. I mean, I don't say we don't spoil them. I spoil my kids way more than, because it depends. I think like how you grow up kind of depends on how you parent, unfortunately. And I think like now a lot of the people that are becoming parents, their parents did a lot for them. Like it was a lot different than before. So it's just getting softer and softer and softer. And I'm curious to see how this all pans out. But, you know, I don't know. I think there was so many kids when I was growing up that like were just douchebags, right? And they just weren't good people. They were punks or whatever it was. And I just, to me, the most important thing is just to make sure that like my kids are not those kids and they're respectful and they're nice. And, you know, Emily is like super proud of Peyton right now because she's in 6th grade. Girls get nasty like at that age. And, you know, and they want to do things or they say things. And like Peyton's not afraid of going against the grain. Like if they want to, like on Halloween, a bunch of them went out trick-or-treating or whatever. And a couple of the kids were trying to like walk down the middle of the street just to be punks, right? Just to be an inconvenience for the cars, just to be like those kids that I'm talking about. And Peyton refused to do it and then left, called us and came to meet us and went trick-or-treating with her little brothers because she didn't want to be around that. And I think like that was like awesome, you know, to deal with. And you're like, doing a pretty good job.
Yeah. Both of our daughters are in 6th grade. And this is for all the parents that don't have daughters in 6th grade. Like my son he went through middle school. I'm sure he had his ups and downs, but as dads to sons, like you're like, slap them on the ass. You're like, hey, listen, everything will get better. You're a little awkward stage these days. Now my daughter comes home. She's like, this person picked on me and this did this. And I'm like sitting there. I'm like, I'm going to fight everybody. And then in the back of my head, I'm like, they're going to be best friends in like 3 more days, right? Like, so you have to just take the ups and lows. And they're going through all kinds of stuff. But yeah, no, you're 100% right. Like I would not want to be a middle school.
That was the worst. I remember I hated middle school. Like it was, high school was a lot better. Middle school was like, I dreaded going to school. I never was like super crazy about school at all. No. I think just like having to sit there and listening to things you're not interested in. And I think that's why, you know, I like working a lot more because it's something that I enjoy, you know, even when I got into the fire department, like I never mind going to work because I enjoyed it. Like you're doing what you want to do. And I think that's important to try to like get your kids through school, but like understand like once you're done, like find something that you actually like so the rest of your life is not miserable. Yeah. Going to work and punching a clock and sitting there trying to kill time.
I think that's the only thing I wish for my kids, that they find something that they really are passionate about, that they really like, and just go for it, right? Like I'd rather see them fail 50 times. I think it's Gary Vee. It could be Joe Rogan that talks about it. It's like you should fail as many times as you possibly can and try everything you can because you don't have a career at 30 or 25 years old. Like you think that's what you're going to do, but then you're miserable at 32. Like I hope my kids grow up to know I can change my career at 32 or 35 or 38 years old, 40 years old. If you're not passionate about it, you're going to be miserable. Like the average life expectancy is what? Late 70s, mid 80s at this point. You really want to live the other 40 or 50 years of your life absolutely miserable, punching that clock, whatever job that is. I just hope they find something and you know they're passionate about it. That's why when I watch Liam flipping these sports cards and asking me to borrow money and pay it back, like I am happy about it. But then I'm like, is this a real thing? Right? Like, and then I talk to people who own card stores, right? Like I have a loan officer I'm talking to out in Las Vegas right now about joining Milestone. Her family owns a sports collectible store. And then tell my son about it. He's like, yeah, I follow them on Facebook. I've done deals with them before. I'm like, it's 14 years old. I'm like, how do you know these people? Well, it's wild.
That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, it's fun to see like the changes and also just like as you grow, like as an adult, like when you start parenting, you're like, I think you looked at your parents growing up and you're like, they know everything, or like, you're really just figuring it out at the end of the day and trying to make it work and trying to figure out life at the same time you're trying to teach your kids life. And it's definitely an interesting thing, but I want to change it for the world.
And for the grandparents out there, I can't wait. Everybody's like, I don't want to become a grandparent. I think when you had kids, you're the first one in your family to have kids, right? I think when you had your first kid, your parents secretly sat down and were like, all that shit Craig gave me, all that trouble, all the late nights, all the lies, or coming home late, or fighting about going to school, game's on. I think it's like their evil, vindictive way that you can send your kids over to see your dad or your mom, and they come back and they spoiled them all day. They were in the pool. They gave them all the candy, all the soda, did everything that you didn't want them to really do. And they're like, hey, good luck going back home. Remember that, Craig? You didn't come home until 3 o'clock in the morning. So I can't wait to be a grandparent because I'm going to go ham.
Good luck.
I mean, with that being said, hold on. Please be in your mid-20s, 30s. Like, don't rush this. I'm not trying to be a grandparent in the next 10 years.
I don't think a lot of people are even having kids in their early 20s anymore.
No, it's wild. Like,
I don't think some of them are capable of it. It would be scary to watch.
We just did that, the company meeting out in Michigan. And there was that, one of the loan officers, I think he said his oldest kid was 33, 34. And he has
had new ones.
And had like a 4-year-old at home. Like, dude, I don't know if I could do it. I mean,
starting over? Yeah, no way.
Olivia's 11. If I walked home and Sue told me she was pregnant, I remember I almost choked out when she told me I was having one. She told me I was having one now. I don't know. I think this might end it.
At least it wasn't twins.
Oh, forget about it. But
all right, my man. Well,
I appreciate it.
It was fun. See you guys next time.